introduce ourselves.
They're coming. It can't be.
Where is everyone?
Hello, survivors. MakeShift here. It has been a year. It's been a long year. It's been a wonderful year. It's been the year 2024 of our Lord. Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Anyway, just like we've been doing for the past several years, I am going to do a year in review for this year, 2024. And I could think of no one other than to do it with. My phrasing is way off, but we'll go with it anyway. I couldn't think of anyone else other than the guy that's been doing it for several years with me. Marky Makeup, your cosmetic mechanic. How are you, Marky?
Hello, survivors. Makeshift, darling. Here we are again. It's like our anniversary. Is this third time's a charm?
Well, I sure hope so. We got a lot to talk about. It was a very busy year in the post-apocalypse world. It felt post-apocalyptic, even though we're now, on our fourth year of post-pandemic. Does it count as post-pandemic yet?
It's like time should be measured before and after 2020. It really should be.
I'd feel better about that. All right, so this is the end of year review of the year 4. 4.
004, good, yes.
Just 004. All right, so let's talk about some stuff. I want to know what's going on with you first. So tell me what's going on with Marky Makeup, the cosmetic mechanic. I know you got some store. I know you sell merch, but what's your 2024 been like as far as like your things?
As far as my things, well, we had a very exciting 2024. We did sell a lot of stuff, and it's funny you mentioned my stores. I do have the Amazon, and we do make nose noodles on the Amazon and the Etsy. That little attachment you see in the Dune movies.
Oh yeah.
This year it was red hot, and we had clients such as SNL, Jimmy Kimmel, and just recently Louis Vuitton Paris ordered nose noodles.
Stop it! Really?
It's always funny to see the shipping label as to where these items are going, but that was the Dune, red hot. Can't knock it.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on getting some celebrity nostrils on your gear.
Yes, some nose and things.
Did you see it get used on like Jimmy Kimmel?
So I did not, but they did go. They went to 30 Rock, which is where everything shoots. And the Louis Vuitton purchase was just recently, and I have a feeling that might be for the spring runway.
Oh,
wink, wink.
Hello.
So stay tuned.
Nice.
Stay tuned.
All right, cool.
I made a 2024 patch over here. Check it out.
Which one are you showing off?
Yours. This one right here. This one right here.
All right. And for those of you that are only listening,
they're showing off the yellow Fireball 2024 patch that coincidentally looks kind of like the Dinky Dive patch this year. We should have called each other, but yeah, there's that one there. A lot of you got it at Wasteland or beforehand on the Etsy.
Nice, that's awesome. It looks good.
Yeah. Patches, pins, Amazon, Etsy. It's all been fun and busy.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad to hear it, and it sounds like it's been doing well. I see that you've always got some new stuff in your store, and you've got a lot of clever designs. I know I own a few of them, so we're
trying to keep it cute.
Well, I did make a list of all the things that Apocalypse posted this year. Are you ready for this? It's a list. I mean, it might just be more words than things, but let's find out.
Ooh,
so first off, speaking of patches, we launched the Patch of the Month Club this year, starting in February of 2024. It's been actually really good, and you sponsored one of the months too, which was fantastic.
I did. I hope to sponsor another one coming up.
Oh, yes, please. I would love to have you back in there. By the way, January's patch, I just announced it on Facebook and Patreon, but it is going to be the Apocabob. I finally got this little guy done as a patch. He came out really good. What do you got there? The postcard?
One of your postcards, yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he's been traveling the world, doing what he needs to do to survive. But yeah, he's in black and white. He's from the original sketch. Which, I mean, he's always kind of been the original sketch, but that means that you can either color him in on your own with your own fabric paints and kind of make your own Apocabob, or you can just let him to get dirty in the desert and he will dirty up really nicely.
Or you could make an Apocabarb if you so choose, an Barbara if you'd like.
You could, yeah.
He looks kind of like a Charlie Brown character, doesn't he?
In a way, he does.
Seen him. He looks a little Charlie Brown.
because he's a little short. Yeah, he's like a little cartoon character. You know, his head is as big as his body.
Guy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's happy in there, but
he's smiling under that gas mask.
He's surviving.
He's surviving. Oh boy,
he's surviving. Yeah, if you want to sign up for the Patch of the Month Club, you can of course go to patreon.com/theapocalypse post. Sign up at the $10 tier or above, and you'll get a patch in the mail every single month. Ask anyone who's done it so far. I think they like it. That's all I'm going to say. All right, next thing. YouTube sent out a one of those like year in review things, and it told me my most popular video this year was from 2018. It was a 6-year-old video. It's the Survivor's Cut, the Wasteland Weekend documentary, but that one's been popular since day one, so I'm not surprised. It's just it always hurts a little bit when you realize that nothing you do can top what you've done before. So hopefully this is my year. We'll get a 2025 video to hit it big. I don't know. We'll see. But we also continued the Legends of Wasteland City audio drama series and the Apocalypse Postcast, of course. Put out a bunch of YouTube videos about Wasteland and Neotropolis. And the biggest video from this year, because I know everyone's wondering, was the 20 things you need to know about Wasteland Weekend, which was a ton of fun to put together because that's when my camper was broken down in the middle of the desert and I had to record from a parking lot. So that was a lot of fun.
You were surviving.
I was, and I was making the best of it because I had planned to do that from Wasteland because I was going to get there early and record on site. And I was like, well, this place looks Wasteland enough. Let's just go for it. Since I'm going to be stuck in this parking lot for the next, 24 hours or so, which was kind of amazing that it was only 24 hours. Anyway, as far as festivals, I only attended Wasteland and Neotropolis this year, which once again, I let myself down because I want to do more of the festivals, but it's always just, times and budgets and times. But I did also get to do several like Wastelander gatherings in the LA area this year in the second half of 2024 that I don't usually get to do. Like the Versus events, which if you haven't been to a Versus event, they're actually really fun. Wastelanders versus Burners, that was a good one. And I did get to go to the Boneyard Buzzards meetup, plus quite a few more like social, smaller gatherings, which was really fun. And I saw you at a couple of those, Marky.
Hey, I get around. You didn't mention 805 Pizza. We got to get you to a First Friday 805 Pizza.
I know. I wanted to go to that this year.
WCC and such.
Yeah, I wanted to go when I was there. There was something else happening the same night. Because I've been going, for like a long weekend or like a week at a time, almost monthly, which is actually really fun. But yeah, I haven't been able to go to the 805 yet. Hopefully I will soon.
If it's at Topper's, boy, this is not a paid endorsement. At Topper's Pizza, woo!
Really?
They're doing it.
Good to know.
They burning that crust and it's good. It real good.
Good to know. So one of the things I noticed was when I was in LA, I lived in LA from 2007 to 2017. Wastelanders weren't gathering like they are now. Like, I feel like I just missed it all. A lot of Wastelanders were from LA back then, and the tribes would get together, but there wasn't like this larger Wasteland community gathering thing that was happening, which I think is really cool. So I'm glad I've been able to participate in some of it because, the community's really come together in the last few years, I'd say. Would you agree? You've been there the whole time.
Since 2017, it's an interesting thing. Do you think the community is closer now?
It seems to have really sparked during COVID, I would say. I think, people were missing the event that year. And there was a lot more like online stuff happening. I think the community just came together to kind of like help each other survive throughout COVID. And now it's like they just kind of kept it going. So there's meetups in several locations that happen monthly or quarterly. There's a bunch of new, smaller events that have popped up that are doing really well, mostly on the West Coast. But there's also other events throughout the country that are blowing up. But I'm really talking about those smaller, like just like, hey, let's just get together on a weekend and just hang out, whether it's in costume or not. And those are really blown up. I think the community's just really come together to support each other.
Yeah, I think it's good to have easily accessible and low-priced things to do that are not in a remote climate and hot.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's just nice to like be able to keep up with people because especially in the early years of Wasteland, it was like that was the one time a year I'd see a lot of Wastelanders. And so you'd go a whole year without really catching up. You wouldn't really get to know the person because, oftentimes people are in character or at least in their like festival persona. So it's really nice to be able to like see people outside and know that they have a real face or wear real clothes or have a real job or like just are actually human. And I think that's really fun.
You didn't meet a cryptid out there? You met an actual person?
Well, to be honest, I have met quite a few wasteland cryptids at these events. So, yeah.
Yeah, the pendulum may be swinging from keeping track of people online to actually keeping track of people face to face.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I think that's exactly it. And it is really neat because we have so many outlets to hang out. I mean, there's not just people have kind of moved not off of Facebook, like people still hang out on Facebook, but now we have huge Discord servers where there's a lot of Wastelanders that hang out. People have kind of spread out their social medias quite a bit, but also just in general, like I think Wastelanders just really like hanging out with Wastelanders, even in the real world.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. All right. So should we get into some of the bigger things that happened in 2024?
We absolutely should. What bigger things did you have in mind?
Man, it's almost like you know how to respond to these questions. I don't even need to prompt you.
I don't want to talk about anything. No, I don't. No, we shouldn't talk about stuff.
No,
yes, of course.
Yeah. I appreciate your enthusiasm. All right, so first off, let's talk about some TV and movies from 2024. First off, do you have a favorite post-apocalyptic dystopian or at least sci-fi project that you saw this year?
Oh boy, the Fallout show blew me away.
Yeah.
For something that I think we, a lot of fandom nerd type people, I think we are full of dread about these things that we hold so dear. Because when you play a video game, they're not like they used to be. Once upon a time, you played like Zelda and it was one certain thing. You play like Fallout, you really can customize that adventure. So it doesn't necessarily translate to a kind of a singular storyline of TV or whatnot, or a movie. And so I was very concerned that this might not be good.
Right, and rightfully so.
It exceeded my expectations over and over again.
I agree. Just like when The Last of Us came out, that was 2023, right? Just like when that came out, I think Fallout really hit the mark. And you're right. So many video game or even so many things, so many projects that are based on books can easily miss the mark just because they don't translate, or you get the wrong director or wrong production company in there, and suddenly, they're changing the story, or they're not quite hitting the soul of the project. And in the case of both of those, Last of Us and Fallout, Fallout the TV show, I think they hit the nail right on the head.
It was very clever of them. They used 3 point of views, right? They had the point of view of the Brotherhood of Steel. Mm-hmm. And then they had the point of view, of course, of the Ghoul and of Lucy, a Vault Dweller. So you had kind of your choice of who you were rooting for, so to speak. And I think that is at the heart and soul of Fallout. Everybody wants to save the world. They just can't decide on how. Yeah,
absolutely. And they also, depending on what type of character you wanted to play, Lucy was definitely like a good character, like a impossibly good character, right? And then you had the Ghoul that's impossibly bad. And then, of course, I forget the character's name, but he was like right down the middle. He was
Maximus.
Maximus. He was very ambivalent. Like he would be bad in one scene, but then good in the next. He was really making up his mind. So just like in the game where you can choose to be a good or bad character, they kind of gave us that perspective in the show as well, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, Maximus was kind of beholden to the Brotherhood of Steel ideology, but also what he himself wants to be. So he's kind of swinging that pendulum back and forth.
Yeah. And I would ultimately say that because Fallout ended up so good, and I'm not saying anything bad here, but I think it almost overshadowed Furiosa, which we've been waiting for 9 years? Was it 9 years almost?
2015.
Yeah, 2015.
Was Fury Road, yeah.
So yeah, Furiosa, 9 years later, we've been waiting for the next installment of the new Fury Road or Mad Max saga. And we finally got it. And while it was a fantastic movie, I do think it got overshadowed a little bit by Fallout.
Do you think it was too long?
Do I think Furiosa was too long? I don't.
Too long in between movies.
Oh, that definitely could have played a part, because it's almost like you're now talking with a new generation in a way.
Almost,
of people. Yeah. And yeah, a lot of sequels that take that long to come out, you almost need to reboot, right? But he didn't do that. He kind of stuck with the plan of this being a prequel And you didn't absolutely have to see Fallout, but it definitely helped if you had seen, I'm sorry, Fury Road.
Fury Road.
Yeah, but it definitely helped if you had seen Fury Road before.
I think it could stand alone, but you definitely want to learn more about Furiosa after seeing Furiosa.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought it was a super fun movie. I thought the action was good. I thought it was very zany, but I can definitely understand how it was not mainstream because it was... Chris Hemsworth was so odd.
He was very odd. But
I saw that and thought, people are going to be confused by him.
Yeah, and because it's a prequel and very much just the backstory of Furiosa, I feel like, its core audience was people that were already into Fury Road. So it wasn't going to bring in like new fans. It probably brought in a few, but it definitely wasn't aiming to get new fans. It was aiming to build the world of Fury Road a bit more. And it was a fantastic movie. I do agree with the masses that I think it relied a little bit too heavily on CGI, especially for some of the car scenes and some of the ragdolling. It just didn't work. I've seen better CGI before. And then ultimately, Furiosa having a casting change. And I know that he did that because of the whole aging thing, but aging technology did actually grow quite a bit in the last 10 years. And I think had they decided to go with Charlize, we may have gotten a few more people on board to watch. And I think the technology especially compared to the CGI that they used anyway, would have been just fine.
You think it should have been Charlize?
I think it should have been more heavily considered as an option. I mean, of course, along with that 10 years of technology getting better, Charlize also got 10 years older. So I don't know how the math works out in this case, but I've seen some really good de-aging being done. And it's unfortunate that, sometimes you just got to do a casting change. Not to say that Anya Taylor-Joy did not do a stellar job. Even like her voice sounded just like Charlize in this movie.
Yeah, I loved her in this.
Yeah.
She's got those killer eyes. She can stare right through you.
Yeah, she could. But I think Charlize is a mildly. I think she was a better version of the character ultimately, and I'm going to stick with that.
Well, I thought it was fun. I enjoyed the world building. I hope we get a third.
Yeah,
I hope
same.
we get that, whatever they're going to call it, Mad Max the Wasteland or whatever.
I think it's supposed to be Mad Max the Wasteland, but I heard it might not be a Mad Max again. I don't know. We'll see.
I hope
George Miller does what he wants.
Let's hope he does what he wants.
I know.
I hope he made a 2-picture deal out of the Fury Road profits, but we'll see. We'll see how the math runs out.
Right. I wouldn't even mind seeing like a Mad Max that's like smaller in scale. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be this huge over budgeted, like car crazy CGI crazy thing. It can just be like a really good story. And I think it'll still work. I don't think a Mad Max film necessarily means that there has to be 1,000 explosions and 500 cars in it, But
I disagree with that. I want at least 1,000 explosions.
Well, I mean, that's fair. That has been what we've gotten since the second installment. So I'll buy it. Let's see. I saw another project called Apocalypse Z, which was like a zombie flick. I think it was Netflix. It's a little bit lower budget and may even been foreign. I think it was foreign. European at least. It was still in English if I remember right. But it was a fun little romp. A little bit less than a 10 out of 10, but it was a good time. A lot of tropes. Like trope. I mean, zombies are tropes, right? That's kind of what zombie movies are, right?
Yeah, no need to reinvent that, really.
Yeah, I mean, they're just fun. They're fun. That one was good. And then a couple of my misses this year. I'll start with the two that I've seen the first seasons, with the S being in a couple of parentheses. I have not yet gotten to finish Sweet Tooth, which the first 2 seasons were fantastic for me. And they ended it with season 3, and I just haven't seen the end yet. That came out this year. And then Silo on Apple Plus. My old roommate had Apple, And so I was able to watch Silo season 1, but now I don't have Apple right now. So I haven't been able to watch season 2, but
You gotta snag a password somewhere.
I need a password. Someone hook me up. But yeah, I was really enjoying Silo. So the second installment of that show came out and in this year, and I haven't been able to see it yet.
They wrapped Sweet Tooth season 3. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's the end of the story.
That's
At
the
least
end of
that's
that
what.
story.
At least that's what the internet's told me.
That show seemed to perhaps spare no expense at times.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Like it's just really fun and cute. I know it's based on a comic book, so it kind of has that like comic book charm to it.
Those makeups were pretty good. Pretty 10 out of 10 for those makeups.
Excellent practical effects, even to the point of using puppets, which I always appreciate when a show will still mix puppets in. Just because like puppets are timeless. Like CGI always ages, always. But puppets always look like puppets. You know, when we look back at the original Star Wars, like I'm talking about the original trilogy, Yoda looked great. And then you make him CGI in the prequels and suddenly like he just looks bad. And I mean, he did things that the puppet could never have done, but the puppet just it aged better.
You don't have to, let me tell you, to the left and right of us are many puppets in this room, so you need not explain the best about practical effects to this guy, that's for sure.
Yeah. Here's another few projects that came out this year that I didn't get to see, so let me know if you have seen any of them. Year 10, which I think just came out. Quiet Place Day 1, the prequel for Quiet Place. I think that's the third installment. That one, I don't think that's streaming anywhere. I don't even know where to get Quiet Place Day 1. Like he's always kind of kept these under wraps. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, but I've only seen out of the new ones, the reboot ones, I've only seen the first 2. So I got to catch up on those. And then a couple other projects, Arcadian, Breathe, and Uglies. And I just finally saw a teaser trailer for the Uglies, and it kind of looks like it's a futuristic dystopian one where once you turn, I want to say 18 or something, you get like a full makeover, like a plastic surgery to make you a beautiful person. And so like people's natural state, like people that are normal become the uglies. And I think somebody decides that they're not going to go through the beautification process or something like that. So it's dystopia, kind of like About Time, you know, where it's like a gimmick. But in this case, it's everyone gets to be beautiful except somebody. I don't know. But anyway, I'm interested in seeing it just because of how it will not age well.
The internet tells me a futuristic dystopia with enforced beauty standards. A teen awaiting mandatory cosmetic surgery embarks on a journey to find her missing friend. And this is a movie, right?
Yeah, it's a movie.
Very interesting.
Yeah, this is going to be one that we'll look back on in 10 or 15 years and just be like,
5.
who let them make that? But I mean, when it comes to dystopian stuff, it's about commenting on modern culture, right? So in this case, that's probably exactly what they're fighting against is that. So yeah, I'm interested to see it because I do enjoy those kind of dystopian movies that are gimmicky like that. Not that far off from Minority Report and other things where it's just like, here's a gimmick. Let's see what happens.
Minority Report may have been an Oscar-winning makeup movie. It was
was it really?
It might have been. It's very significant makeup in that movie.
Yeah, that was a good film too. Do you remember when he gets his eyes replaced and he needs to like find his sandwich and his milk, but he finds the rotten ones of each? That whole sequence still plagues my mind in so many ways.
Plagues your mind.
It does. It really does. Do
not reach for the old sandwich.
All right. So that's kind of all I've got to talk about with TV and movies. It's really weird. There's some years where I feel like I watch every single post-apocalypse or sci-fi movie that comes out, and then there's some where I just don't. And I think a lot of that has to do with streaming and how like it's more difficult to find stuff, especially if you don't have passwords. But things just get buried and the suggestions are not always, post-apocalyptic. So there's several of these things I didn't even think about until I was researching today's episode.
If we can dip our toe into Cyberpunk, did you see the sequel to Dune?
I did not see the sequel yet. I loved the first one, but yeah, I haven't caught up on that yet.
Dune stands in this household. So
Well, tell me a little bit.
That.
No spoilers, but tell me a little.
I think the book has been out for 50 years, young man. So no spoilers. No spoilers on the ancient text. No spoilers. My favorite score of the year. Some of the best Hans Zimmer music.
Nice.
A little spoonful from the first one, and some new pieces. Gorgeous costumes. Spared no expense on the
Awesome.
the outfits, and some clever makeup tricks, and of course, we're Timothy Chalamet stan in this house too. A knockout performance from him, especially towards that third chapter where the pendulum swings for our hero of sorts. He really has a great Anakin moment if you want to draw the lines there.
Okay, cool. Well, they stole all of Dune from Star Wars. That's what I hear from the internet. That's what the internet tells me.
Oh boy, that's a podcast for another time.
And I'm going to backtrack. I know Dune came out first. I was doing a joke.
Oh, don't get it started. Here come the comments.
I know.
Here come the comments.
Yeah. Oh, I hope so.
Send them to Mike. Put them in Mike's inbox. Don't put them in mine.
Yeah. Send them to the MakeShift profile on Facebook. I do have a new MakeShift profile, so you can find me on Facebook
that's right,
that way.
Are you using
it? I am. Well, not enough, but I am using it. I was going to say,
I don't know if I've seen you update from it.
I know. Well, I've got so many. You try to compartmentalize things, and then you realize it just makes things more difficult sometimes. But yeah, I'm hoping to push a lot more of the Wasteland, the Apocalypse Post stuff to MakeShift, and have people friend me there rather than my personal page, which is just full of Wastelanders basically. So who knows? I should have done it years ago. Is really what I'm saying.
Years ago, yeah.
But that was something I did in 2024
to help people out, because not every Wastelander wants to see naked painted people, and not every Marky Makeup fan wants to see me covered in dirt rolling around.
Right, exactly. You got to compartmentalize just a little.
Just a little bit. What did you do in 2024? Tell me something good.
Let's get down to it. This year was all about Fallout, the show, and Furiosa, the movie. That's what it came down to. And those were both fantastic. Made me very happy.
Did you, just swerve into a different line, did you see Deadpool Wolverine?
Yes, I did. And it was so good. It was a weird tone. Like, the story felt small for like a Marvel Universe story, but it was so fun, and it was quirky and enjoyable.
And what did you think of I think it's funny that even Deadpool, Marvel, Ryan Reynolds really felt threatened by Furiosa, and he cuts that person's head off, and he lifts it up and he says, this is your Queen Furiosa, and you go, you guys were really worried about this.
yeah they did a really good job of referencing media in that. And I mean, Ryan Reynolds is just hilarious, and it was great to see Wolverine come back, and spoiler alert, not retconned from the dead. They used a multiverse to bring him back, which was really fun.
Did you have a favorite Wolverine?
Did I have oh yeah, because there were a few, weren't there? Oh man, no, I don't really remember them, because it was a bunch of Wolverines in bars, and they were all just assholes. I don't know. I gotta watch it again, maybe.
The best one was the short Wolverine.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that was a good Wolverine, because he was like ready to go, and then he was 4
stands
foot
up and gets
something,
his face, and he's like 5'4".
Yeah. Did you have a favorite Deadpool?
I did. I think just the head, that weird severed head. Because what even is that? That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the hippie Deadpool with the dog.
Yeah.
He was fun. I mean, having that many Deadpools was a blast. But yeah, another great romp. And there's no wondering why that movie did so well this year.
I'm just surprised they kept the spoilers so spoilery free, like leak free.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Actually,
they kept those bonus cameos at the end, in case anybody hasn't saw it.
Mm-hmm. No spoilers.
No spoilers.
This one has not been out for 50 years.
Did you, Marky's knocking us all off course. Did you, yes or no, see X-Men 97?
No, I did not.
Oh boy, you have a treat for yourself if you like animated X-Men stuff.
Oh, fun. Okay.
It is. It feels very, I would say adult, but I don't mean adult. I mean sophisticated.
Oh, a
Yes.
sophisticated X-Men show. Okay.
X-Men 97 was right up there with Fallout, I'll say.
Shoot. All right. Really? Oh, that's saying a lot. All right. It's going on my list. It's going on my non-existent list where I'll forget about it until it just happens to be in one of my feeds, and then I'll watch it.
I'm going to ask for a book report in a couple weeks from you.
Okay. You should, actually. Yeah. Hold me to it, because I don't want to miss good stuff, but sometimes time just passes you by because you're busy with running podcasts and stuff. All right, let's move on to some of the festivals that happened this year.
Yeah. Back on track.
There are a handful of pretty big festivals that have decided they weren't going to be continuing. Did you know about this?
I do know things aren't getting cheaper in life. Things only seem to be more expensive. So maybe there was a bit of a ballooning of things, or perhaps in 2019, perhaps there was many things. And now, as we bounce back from 2020, perhaps there was another bit of a ballooning of in-person things, but now it seems to be condensed. What do you think?
Yeah, just by a handful, not by a lot. But Old Town and Luna Negra, that are both from Europe, they both called it quits this year. And Indie Mad Max Run, which I believe was just like a vehicles gathering that they jumped on the freeway, kind of like the original Road Warrior weekend. Even before the camping event, they just did like a Road Warrior road day. But yeah, those three called it quits this year, which is unfortunate because I was really hoping to get to Luna Negra someday. They had been inviting me from when they first started. And just hadn't made it over there. And honestly, I was like, maybe this is the year. And then I reached out and they were like, no, we stopped. But on the East Coast, Aftermath is still going. That's the one in Alabama. They get about 100. Oh, and by the way, all this information comes from post-apocalyptic-events.com, where you can find out everything there is to know about post-apocalyptic events. It's run by Carl Bartoszinski, who was one of the original creators of Wasteland Weekend. He's no longer an owner, but still attends. And he's been running this website just as a way to kind of like, keep the community in touch with each other. So yeah, big shout out to post-apocalyptic-events.com on this one. So yeah, I just mentioned Aftermath. And another one on the East Coast is Apox East. That one's up in Pennsylvania. They had about 120 people this year, which seems small for them because they've been going a few years, and I think it's been pretty popular. Atomic Falls, that one happens in Oklahoma. They had around 130 people this year. And then we have Detonation and Festival of Ash. I'm thinking some of these numbers must be a little on the low side. These are both in Uranium Springs, which is in Arizona. Detonation got about 400 people. Festival of Ash got about 150. Yeah, those both feel maybe about half of what they actually are.
One of those, which one was the one that was near Halloween?
That's Festival of Ash.
Yeah, I think they got
rained on.
Yes, yeah. So I think a lot of people may have turned back when they heard about that rain.
Yeah, that could be the truth. Yeah, and I know that they've kind of had to institute a new rule for site, which is basically while it's raining, you can't enter or leave site because it just tore up the roads on them this year. Although I've heard from a couple of people that were there that it wasn't as big of an issue as that. But, you got to kind of like work with it because that location is deep in the flatlands of Arizona. The road is dirt mostly, and it's the whole festival is like in a wash, more or less. Like it's in an old riverbed because that's like, it's on this the flat ground, and where the festival is where it's been cut down into the earth by the river. And so yeah, when it rains there, the rain has an effect. But not that like the whole town's going to wash away, because that's not where the river is anymore. But it's wash away mud town.
That Reverend Lawless is a good follow on Facebook.
Yeah, he sure is. Very entertaining. And he's living there now, like on site. I think he kind of gave up the real world house and he's moved into his little hovel, which has got to be crazy and like crazy lonely. But props to you, Lawless. I know he's got a lot of people going out there like almost all the time to hang out and build and stuff. And for those of you that don't know, Lawless is, of course, the owner of Uranium Springs. Although I guess it's more of like a collective, but he's kind of the figurehead. I haven't been to that festival since 2014. And every year I'm like, I'm going. And then I don't. And I don't know why, because I should. Anyway, next on the list, Outpost, Texas. They had a brand new festival this year. And that one's in, of course, Texas. They had about 50 people show up for their first one, which is not bad. That's not bad. Good for you guys. And I know that they're planning to keep going. Let's see. They are also a wasteland tribe. A lot of these festivals are run by wasteland tribes that just kind of want to try their own thing more locally so they can do something in the off season. Here's one I haven't heard about before, but this was on Carl's list. The Rust Revival in South Carolina. Gets about 75 people. Have you heard of them before?
No, I haven't.
I need to know more about this, but I'll just go to post-apocalyptic-events.com and find out more. The Pacific Northwest, that's a very another small group of people that have been doing I think a couple of years so far. That's in Oregon, about 50 people. The next one on the list is Uncle Zeke's Nuclear Winter. This is one of the biggest offshoots. It's another kind of like wasteland fan event. It's also in Southern California, and they got about 500 people. And I believe you went to that last year, right?
I have been, if not 2 times, 3 times. It is, I know it's run by Zeke's, right? The tribe, Mark Lopez, Sarah West. And they have a third member who is kind of the creative minds behind it. Folks, if you ever want the chillest chill,
that's the one.
It is a cool weekend full of fun. It is private, so get an invite. And we like it that way. It is at a Ren Fair that is perhaps having some tumultuous ownership issues. I don't know what exactly will happen with that site of the Corona Bird Ren Fair, but there's buildings and there's shade.
That's awesome.
And there's cell service, so you don't have to write people a letter. You can just text your friend.
Oh, that's great. And that happens, in like February?
Does happen earlier in the year, so it's cooler. Yeah. So you do kind of bundle up. So it's a fun little thing to make costumes here and in the off season to make yourself some warm weather waisty outfits.
Yeah, that sounds super fun.
And we do a lot of the same things. I think they did a Secret Santa. That's with a Z.
Oh, that's fun.
Kind of a wastelandy gift exchange, and we've done the hot spicy boys, the hot chili pepper spicy thing.
Who doesn't like a good spicy boy?
I just watch. And so, but yeah, I've gone, I've painted, I set up my little airbrush. I'm the body shop of one, and
sweet.
It's fun. We have, sometimes it's bars and hanging out, and there's a castle. So yeah, it's a good time.
Nice. In a world full of holes.
The hole in the ozone.
Potholes.
Pinholes.
Manholes.
And ass.
Associated empty spaces.
Not what I was going to say.
Well, you know what fills holes?
Well, I've got a few ideas.
Patches.
Right.
They'll fill the hole in your jeans, the hole in your soul, and the hole in your mailbox.
Holy moly, that's a whole lot.
Yep. With the Apocalypse Post's Patch of the Month Club on Patreon, you'll get an original, sometimes exclusive, post-apocalyptic patch sent to your mailbox every month. And you'll be helping support this channel and all its content.
So how do I get in on this whole thing?
Sign up at patreon.com/theapocalypsepost at the $10 tier or above. Make sure your address is added to your profile and you'll get a patch in the mail every month. There's also 2 and 4 patch tiers for tribes of those very specific sizes.
Well, ain't that the whole shebang?
Now you're just digging yourself a hole.
Well, shut your pipe hole and sign me up.
Holy crap. They get it.
Hold on just a minute.
Okay.
What's the hold up?
The Apocalypse Post's Patch of the Month Club. We'll fill your holes. Sure.
The Love Bombs provide top-notch outcomes for the most discriminating clients all across the wasteland. When you need executive escort and protection, intelligence analysis, direct action, or other specialized solutions, the Love Bombs provide a bespoke option tailored directly to your needs. Listen to this heartfelt testimonial from one of the Love Bombs' satisfied clients.
I hired the Love Bombs to save my precious Pookie Pie from them there scabs over yonder. They was fixing to turn his poor hide into jerky. Woo! Woo! I reckon not a one of those bastards will walk away from this scuffle. Goodness gracious, I reckon I ain't ever seen a gun that big. The Love Bombs will give your enemies a licking they won't soon forget.
Yes, the Love Bombs. They're polite, professional, and have a plan to kill everyone they meet. The Love Bombs provide complete confidentiality in their free initial consultation. That's right, the initial consultation is absolutely free. Remember, the Love Bombs. Artillery available.
And since you just mentioned it, you are the cosmetic mechanic, and you do airbrushing as well as a couple other things, right? Like, tell us what the cosmetic mechanic experience is when you find Marky Makeup at one of these festivals.
Oh boy, it probably involves my airbrush. A couple of times at Neotropolis, I've had like my own personal cube where you could come get like neon airbrushed. That was a lot of fun. I was in Mega Block a couple times. Don't think that's going to continue. We'll see. We'll see how I participate in Neotropolis next year. Still not sure. And last year, I remember I painted the band last year. I painted shiny toy guns at Neotropolis. So that was
right.
One of the things I did. Last Wasteland, I had a War Paint Wednesday party where everybody came and they painted each other. You could paint your friend or I could paint you. So a lot of makeup things and stencils and airbrushing and battle damage and stuff like that.
I love it. That's so fun. Yeah, you got me some what'd you get me some tech for Neotropolis last year, which was great.
That was a good time. Yeah,
just a little tech
beep
on the
boop,
forehead. Yeah, beep
yeah,
boops.
yeah,
You gave me some beep boops. Yeah,
a little something glow in the dark.
All right, and we're going to get back to that in a second, but let's talk about Wasteland Weekend, which of course is still the largest immersive post-apocalypse festival in the world. This year it topped out at just shy of 4,000 people, and of course that's the big boy that everyone wants to go to. It's in the middle of the desert. It sure as hell looks like you're in a Mad Max movie or game. And it also looks like you're in Fallout New Vegas in a lot of ways. So it's tons of fun. How was your festival this year?
Very interesting and very different. A wise man told me I had been promoted to attendee because I did not volunteer this year. I just attended and had all the free time in the world.
Now, how did that feel? Because I'm like halfway back there.
It was very different. I kind of was like, wow, what do I do with all my time?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I still filled my time right up because, I'm not leading the video crew, but I'm still a member of the video crew. So I was still like flying my drone. I still got some footage. I was still trying to do like some podcast stuff. But then I think I spent most of my time doing music and getting ready for performances and just hanging out with people. It was great.
You did stack your schedule pretty good.
I did. I was still like, I'm too busy.
I will say this year in particular, a lot of my good memories come from first years. And I think the first years brought it this year.
Awesome.
Better than the veterans. I thought the first years some of them really came out with just unique perspectives, a new, fresh energy, creativity, silliness, even if it didn't quite fit, you were like, oh, that's not quite, but I like where your head's at,
Yeah.
And cheers to all the first years who came out kept you on your toes creatively.
That's awesome. And that's kind of what we were thinking going into the festival season this year was that Furiosa and Fallout might bring in a lot more fans because, of course, Wasteland is a Mad Max festival that is also heavily influenced by Fallout and some other projects. But we were hoping that it would bring in a whole new blood, kind of like in after Fury Road came out, we got a whole lot of new people and, of course, a lot of War Boys and a lot of people doing cosplays from that project. So it was really great to see some new skin in the game. It's always fun to just have other people find what you love also enjoyable.
Yeah, and then, they bring in that unique point of view.
Yeah.
There was some wrestling. Did you see wrestling at Wasteland this year?
Oh,
How about
yeah.
that?
The Wasteland Takedown Federation, or
Are
WTF.
you going to wrestle next year?
Well, I feel like they actually knew what they were doing. I don't know how to. It's not like Thunderdome where you can just sign up and beat up on your friend. I think you would actually have to practice maybe a little.
Yeah. Oh, it was a good show. It was a good show.
Yeah, it was
Those guys
good.
loved it. I knew a couple of them from some indie shows here in LA. And,
totally.
They send me messages. They're like, oh my gosh, this, that, the other thing. Or they're like, did I tell you what Wasteland has happened? And I'm like, oh no, but I'm glad you're thinking about it on a Tuesday and, in December. Yeah, they're fun.
The show was a blast. That was kind of the biggest new thing, other than like a lot of tribes brought new stuff. But as far as like, as a larger production part of the festival, that was kind of the newest thing that we had. And it replaced, well, it's not a replacement, but it took the spot of where we used to have the gladiators, which were like the SMA fighting guys. SMA, no, that's not even the right word, is it?
Are you talking about SCA?
SCA, that's what I'm talking about.
SCA.
So
creative acronym.
Yeah, so they kind of stopped a couple of years ago setting up their chain link battle arena, and it was always a good show because those were real fights with full armor and full weaponry. So to get the Wasteland Takedown Federation in there to kind of take that spot and offer like something similar where it's still a battle arena, but in this case it's kind of the fun and the camp and the audience participation of pro wrestling, which was an absolute blast. And I got to say, I was nervous about watching pro wrestling at Wasteland. And those nerves were quite eased once they started because they put on a hell of a show.
Why were you nervous? What part were you nervous about?
Because I've seen like videos of like backyard pro wrestling. Well, I guess it's not pro wrestling, backyard wrestling. And it's almost always like, oh God, I'm just afraid these guys are actually going to hurt each other, that they are not great performers or storytellers. And I'm just going to watch these guys embarrass themselves. That is not what happened. Hot take. That's not what happened. The Wasteland Takedown Federation put on a hell of a show. I was very impressed. They felt really well rehearsed, and they told a story, and they had the audience, which was great.
Yeah, I wasn't sure who was going to show up, but I remember like turning the corner and just seeing a mass of people, and I was like, oh, good. People showed up to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it was great. It was great.
It was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah. Other than that, I would say Wasteland Weekend this year was, once again, I feel like I say this every year, it was one of the best. I had a fantastic festival, even though there was probably a little bit more of, the dramas that I was aware of this year, because I'm usually kind of like, see no evil, hear no evil when it comes to the dramas. I was a little bit more participatory this year, I suppose, but it was still just an absolute blast, and I really enjoyed Wasteland this year. Can't wait for the next one.
I had my birthday, and that was very exciting. That might have been my favorite
Your
part.
actual birthday was at Wasteland this year, right?
My actual birthday. I got to wear a birthday hat.
Did you get a cake again this year?
So it was everybody's birthday party, so there was a cake, yeah. Because it was anybody who had a Wasteland pre or adjacent. If you had it on build, if you had your birthday around Wasteland, you could come and celebrate your birthday, and that was a lot of fun.
So fun.
Probably the highlight of my Wasteland.
The same day as your birthday party, you got to come over to see me playing with the Dukes and Nuke Band at the Rec Room and receive your biggest guesticles, speaking of wrestling belt, of course, made by Spam. And you are now the third holder of the biggest guesticles belt, which just basically means you were on the show more than anybody in the last year, Wasteland to Wasteland.
It is in the Marky Makeup Cosmetic Mechanic Workshop.
Nice.
Out in the garage so that everybody can see it when they come for costume days.
That's awesome. And so far you are not in first, but you're in the running for next year. So
who do I gotta off? Who do I have to unalive to be first?
I'm not going to say anything yet. You got to just go back and listen to some episodes and see who's been on.
Bring it.
I need the listens, Marky. You got to go and listen and do some
like,
research.
comment, subscribe.
Yes, sir. All right.
Share with a friend.
One of the big surprises in the festival circuit this year for me was hearing how many people went to Fallout, the New Vegas festival. So this was, if you played Fallout New Vegas, you know that you start in, what's the city?
Pioneer Springs, isn't it?
Well, it's not
Pioneer.
It's Good Springs. It's Good Springs.
Good Springs.
Yeah, it's
I was
the
gonna
Pioneer.
say Good Neighbor, but it's not it. Yeah.
No, close. Yeah, it's the Pioneer Saloon in Good Springs, which is in Arizona, and yeah, last year they had a festival and it drew several thousand people. This year they sold out of tickets. Of course, it's not an immersive festival. A lot of people do dress up in cosplay, but it's not immersive. You can literally just show up in your street clothes, which is totally fine, but discouraged. Dress up if you can. But yeah, like 10,000 people showed up to that this year, which is crazy.
I had a funny little email with them. I offered my cosmetic mechanic services. I said, let's make some stencils, let's do some airbrush tattoos. And they said they were full of talent. They were full of shenanigans. They didn't want anything else.
That's hilarious.
And then I think they posted, they were like, please stop inviting people.
Oh my God.
Like,
I mean, it's just a tiny little ghost town. Like there's nothing there, right? I don't even know how you hold 10,000 people there. There's the saloon. And I know that there's at least one restaurant that's like trying to feed everybody, and probably food trucks and that whole deal. But yeah, I don't think that place can hold any more people.
After party like a mile away at a ranch.
Wow.
But that was like on Sunday night. So I don't know how many people went to that. But I'll give a shout out to Gilly of Gilly's Arcade, who went to both that celebration and the Neo meetup at Scum and Villainy in the same day. So shout out to Gilly, who I thought it was like seeing a ghost.
That's
I thought
hilarious.
he photoshopped his photos when he walked into Scum and Villainy. I was like, what? I was like, aren't you just in sort of Vegas? And there he was. Yeah.
What? Oh yeah, that was the Neotropolis event, right?
We had a little local meetup, chance to wear your costumes at Scum and Villainy. Folks, you could wear your costume anytime you want at Scum and Villainy, but this time it was a group of us, and we had trivia, and we had some prizes and stuff. It was fun. It was packed, full of people.
No, that's awesome. All right. And so speaking of the last event I have on here, and of course this is Cyberpunk, not post-apocalyptic, but it's Neotropolis, put on at the same site as Wasteland Weekend. And I don't know the official number on this, but between the two of us, we're guessing between 1,000 and 2,000 people, which feels about right. It's a smaller, more intimate event, but it definitely has potential to grow absolutely gargantuan.
Listen, I like to think I'm kind of good at Wasteland. I like to think I'm kind of good at Renaissance Fair. Folks, I am just making it up when I go to Neo. But the creativity these people bring, people wearing Apple monitors on their head, it's just the weird stuff you see at Neotropolis is perfect. What were your highlights of Neotropolis?
Oh, this year was really fun. Let's see. The dust storm, for as much as it was a pain in the ass, was actually a highlight because when I went into town during that, the build crew was dressed up in their little NPC costumes, and they were putting the city back together like as it was falling apart, like pulling the tarps back together and all that. And I thought that was pretty fun because in this dystopian city, like obviously a bunch of these like mech robot people would be putting the city back together every time there's a dust storm, which is probably all the time on a desert planet.
Construction's happening, yeah.
Yeah. But I did really appreciate this year. It was a little bit different. There was a lot going on. There was a lot more story involved. It's an incredible event, and it's so fun, and it changes a little bit each year, and people really bring it. And I gotta say, my biggest highlight was seeing the band. Who are they? They're the band that played in Maintenance Bay. Eclectotron. Yeah. Finding them playing, I think, was my absolute highlight. I was hanging out with Shepard. We were kind of like just trying to find all the things we hadn't seen yet. And of course, we found the secret back way into Maintenance Bay 54, which you have to know about. But it means that you don't have to prove that you're a robot to get in. And yeah, Eclectotron. Was it Electrotron for a second, and then they changed it? Or has it always been Eclectotron?
Eclairtotron?
No, I think you're right. It is Eclectotron. And they're super fun. They're a band that put themselves together just for this festival out of, musicians that already know what they're doing. But they created the band just for Neotropolis, which I think is awesome because I kind of make my music just for Wasteland. And they were fantastic. What a fun show. Lots of dancing, lots of hoots and hollers and good stuff.
Yeah, if you get a chance, I don't know her name, but that female lead singer, she is something else, boy. She's 10 out of 10. Really, really incredible. Yeah. Her voice fills the room. It's really awesome to see.
And then being inside of Maintenance Bay 54, it's just really cool. It's like a geodesic dome design. They get the bar in the middle. It's being tended by robots. And and to be in there, you have to prove yourself as a robot, which is a lot of different ways to do that. But once you're inside, you really feel like you're on a different planet, which is pretty wild. I'm trying to find Eclectotron, the band here, but
I believe the song I really like that I used in my Neo video is it Incoming Danger or Danger Incoming? Super good and a really funny video.
Yeah, they've got some really great songs. Check them out if you haven't had the chance yet. They're on Spotify and definitely worth a listen. And their recordings sound really good.
Yeah, super fun.
Let's see. We got a couple of festivals around the world. I'm not going to name them all because I don't know them all, but Pox Eclipse is still happening in Australia. They had about 400 people pop up this year. That one is, the only immersive festival in Australia that I know of right now. Of course, there is the Mad Max Museum. They have a festival every year, but I think that's more of like a casual thing where you don't necessarily have to be dressed up. So Pox Eclipse is the Wasteland-like immersive festival. There's Haven in Northwood, UK. That's the first time I've heard about that one. And then there's Rust Haven in Czechia, if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't think it's Chechnya. I think it's Czechia. So yeah, there are still festivals to be had outside of the United States. And I believe there's one in Japan as well that may be more of like a fan event, but I lost that in my research here. So yeah, lots of festivals, which is great because when Wasteland started up, it was the only one. And now there are festivals around the world that are kind of doing the same thing, that have all been inspired by this little fledgling event just 2 hours north of LA that decided to celebrate an obscure movie series from the late 70s and early 80s, which is hilarious to think about it that way now.
Yeah, I think it's a piece of work. I think people like to look back at those first Mad Max movies as, quintessential 80s viewing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big hair and fast cars. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, it's tons of fun. And I've just always liked the post-apocalypse genre, but Mad Max, the first one I saw was actually Mad Max 2. So Road Warrior. That was at my parents' friend's house when I was just sitting there bored while they were playing poker. And Cindy came over and she was like, "You bored?" And I was like, "Yep." She was like, "You want to watch a movie?" I was like, "Yep." She was like, "I don't have a lot of kids movies, but I got this one." And I'm probably like 7 or 8 at the time. And she put the Road Warrior in, and I was like, "This is awesome." Of course, I fell asleep halfway through the movie and I didn't know what it was called. But then years later, of course, Thunderdome shows up on cable. And it was always on cable. So I watched that one a ton. And I was like, what was the other one though? You can't find it. If you didn't have a friend that had the VHS version of it, like it didn't exist basically. So eventually I found it, and then I would say Mad Max, the first one, was the last one I saw, which was a tough direction to go in.
Yeah, tricky. That first one is very strange.
Yeah, but when you watch it as a standalone, it's a great film. It's just, it doesn't have all the cars and explosions, just like when we were talking about earlier. You don't need the cars and explosions to have a Mad Max film. The first one sure wasn't. It had a few cars and a few explosions, but it wasn't all that.
Wow, you're dying on this non-explosion hill.
No, I'm not dying. I'm just saying, they could take it down a notch. They don't have to do a $300 million film for me to be able to like it. They could do something a little bit smaller, and I would still be okay with it. I'm just saying, I want another film. I don't care how I get it. And if you have to cut the budget a little bit to make it happen, I'm here for it. That's all I'm saying.
I'm here for a 13-episode streaming series as well.
It's interesting because does George Miller still own the IP? I think he does.
I
or
think
does
he
Sony
does
own
too.
it?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think it's his. Oh, it'd be Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah.
I think it's his, and yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's going to come down to kind of like a Star Wars situation. If he ever releases it or sells the IP, we'll probably end up with like 25 titles, and some of them will be good and some of them will be bad, but they won't be George Miller. Although I got to say, I've enjoyed that Star Wars has been, like, we've been able to expand on that universe outside of One Man's Mind. I think it's actually done the series really well overall, because we've gotten some great titles from it. And, maybe if we expanded the Mad Max universe, we could get a little good with a little bit of bad, and that would be okay. But until George Miller's done with it, I think he's the guy.
How about a TV series that just follows the War Boys?
I would love that. The War Boys are really interesting. I mean, they're kind of bad guys. And every War Boy that we've like grown attached to, Nux, has a redemption story about breaking free of his brainwashing, right? So I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of that. I wouldn't mind a whole series that's just on Nux, although we basically saw his whole story, I guess.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Yeah. All right, so that kind of settled us for all of our festivals. I've just got one comic book. I don't read a whole lot of books, but I got one comic book, and I've got we absolutely have to talk about Dungeon Crawler Carl. Are you familiar with Dungeon Crawler Carl yet?
No, what's that?
Really? Is that for real? Are you playing with me right now?
No, I'm being for serious.
Okay.
Dungeon Crawler. Is this a friend of yours?
No, it's not.
Like
No. This is a recommendation. This actually came from Shepard.
Shepard, never heard of her.
Everyone's heard of Shepard at this point. So it's an audio book. So it's not an audio drama like what I do with Legends of Wasteland City. It's an audio book, but the guy who's doing the voiceover is probably the best narrator that I've ever heard before. He does all the characters plus the narration, all in character, absolutely nails it. His performances are great. He really brings the whole story to life. But Dungeon Crawler Carl is a lit RPG, and it is post-apocalyptic. And just real quick, it's basically aliens come to Earth and destroy the entire planet and make all the survivors run a dungeon, a multi-leveled dungeon for their own survival, and it becomes like a sports game, a video game that other people are watching. But it has a lot of like video game tropes that happen. There's you have an infinite inventory, so you collect a lot of things. You have to put on armor, get weapons, you learn magic, spells, and scrolls, all that kind of stuff. So if you're into video games, or you just like a really good post-apocalypse story or really good performance, check out Dungeon Crawler Carl. There are printed books, but don't do it that way. Go to Audible, and if you have an account, use your credits, but get Dungeon Crawler Carl. The new book is coming out in February, which I'm really excited about because I finally caught up on the whole series. And it is a hoot. It's funny. It's got adventure. It'll make you cry. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you wish that you were playing, and then absolutely hope that you never have to, So yeah, Dungeon Crawler Carl. I hope I sold it. Do you feel good about it? Do you want to look it up?
I just typed it down in my little handheld computer device I have.
Uh-huh.
How is Legends of Wasteland City coming along?
Yeah, thanks so much for asking. So Legends of Wasteland City is doing really well. I've got episode 5 of 6 of Don't Stop Shootin' done and released. Episode 6 I'm still working on. It should be out maybe early in 2025. It's just been a little bit slow going this time around because I've been doing a lot more like keeping up with the Apocalypse Postcast. I went a whole year with just doing Legends at one point. And I was doing kind of switchy back and forth, but now I just think I'm going to put out episodes when I got them. And of course, once Don't Stop Shootin' is done, I've got a bunch of Wastelander submitted stories to get to. So if you submitted a story,
I've
got a bunch. I've got at least 3 or 4. So we're going to get into it. Yeah. If you submitted a story and you haven't heard it yet, don't worry. They're still on the to-do list. It's just been a year and I had several other things. But yeah, the audio dramas just take extra time, and I do them when I can. And it's just been one of those seasons, But yeah, thanks for asking. I'm super proud of Legends of Wasteland City. And of course, the project that took all my attention away from it, called Who the Fuck Killed My Sister, is out now. You can find it wherever you get your good podcasts. I'm not in it. I didn't write it. I produced it, directed it, and cast it, and edited it, and did all those things. So yeah, check out that show. I think you're going to love it. It's not post-apocalyptic, but it does involve murder. So who doesn't like murder?
A murder podcast. I can't believe it.
I was just going to say I had one other literary work I wanted to talk about, which was Once Upon a Time at the End of the World. And this is a comic book series I've been getting monthly because that's how they've been coming out. And it has been an absolute joy to rediscover comic books because I don't read a whole lot, but this as a graphic novel has been really enjoyable. And the story is unique and different and a ton of fun. And Yeah. Thanks, Lady Fahrenheit, for hooking me up with that. I know you've been getting them too, right?
Have you been getting the other series?
I don't know. I have a bunch of unopened mail in Nashville that I haven't gotten to yet, so maybe.
Oh boy, I've been getting another one from Boom Studios.
What's it called?
Boom Studios. It's called I Heart Skull Crushers, and it's about a crazy samurai sword wielding babe. And it's hot pink and neon green and awesome.
That sounds awesome. And
Yeah,
how
it's super
many are
fun.
out so far? How many are out so far?
I'm looking at number 7 on my shelf right now. So
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah, Boom
it's super
Studios is
fun.
awesome. They make some like smaller, more independent projects, and I've really enjoyed what I've seen from them so far. And they've been very generous with their free taste of some comic books. Of course, it doesn't hurt that we talk about them.
They have a lot of like properties too. I think they have Adventure Time. I think they have Power Rangers. They put out a lot of stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
they had a big Keanu Reeves. He had a big comic recently, a few years ago at Comic-Con.
Oh, yeah. What was that one called?
It was a big deal.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't know what it was called, but it was their big deal.
Have you played any post-apocalypse games this year?
I have not stopped playing Fallout 4. Feel free to make fun
This
of me.
whole time?
And this whole time. And I play Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West, which walks the line of post-apocalypse and cyberpunk.
Oh, yeah, it sure does.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Machine animals. But I haven't
Right.
tried anything new. You did something new.
Well, I did. Yeah. I also played Horizon Zero Dawn for the first time, and I thought that was a hoot. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to playing some more.
It's a fantastic story, and the
Yeah.
artwork is beautiful. The story is crazy.
Yeah. So I guess I'm a little bit late to that one, but I enjoy the hell out of it.
Please do. Take your
but-
time and take it all in.
But yeah, while I didn't play any of the big like post-apocalypse titles that came out this year, I did, along with the rest of the world, fall headfirst into Helldivers, which is very dystopian. And if it's not post-apocalyptic, it sure feels like it is, but it's very like sci-fi post-apocalyptic. More dystopian, I'd say. But yeah, if you haven't played Helldivers yet, it's an independent studio that put it out, so it's pretty cheap, and it is one hell of a game if you're into what is it? Starship Troopers, the movie, meets like Halo in a lot of ways, meets, I don't know, some other 4-person team-based shoot 'em ups. It's just a really fun game, and it's hilarious in a lot of ways, but also because you're kind of the bad guys, it makes you think a little bit. Spoilers. You give me the spoilers look.
No, I was curious how you're so excited to be the bad guy. Dun dun dun.
Well, I mean, it's fun to be the bad guy sometimes.
Dun dun dun.
I remember when I first got involved in Wasteland Weekend, I did a series of interviews, and this is at Adam Chilson's house, one of the former co-owners. And I was interviewing everybody, and there were a couple people there that were dressed, a little intimidatingly scary. And I was like, all right, one of my questions for you is if there was a post-apocalypse, would you want to be a good guy or a bad guy? And a couple people were like, oh, bad guy, definitely bad guy. And I was like, who wants to be the bad guy? We all want to be the heroes, right? But now I get it. It's fun. And it creates the opportunity for other people to be the hero, especially when we're out there, like, doing our light LARPing. And it's a ton of fun to be the fall guy and, like, I don't know, kind of play with the idea of not necessarily being so good. Of course, you as a Fallout 4 fan, have you ever just started a character and decided, hey, I'm going to be the bad guy this time?
Not once. No, never.
Stop it.
Never. I'm always lawful good.
You're always just full on, just the perfect little Marky.
What can I say? It doesn't being the bad guy does not come naturally to me. Thank you very much.
Well, I cannot agree with you more because I always play as the good guy, and I also have just the way you're supposed to. I always have like pure empathy for NPC characters, which are obviously not real, but I treat them like they are. I want them all to like me, even the bad ones, and it's just part of it. That's all I got. That's the only game I really played this year. I played some Diablo. That's post-apocalyptic, I guess, but it's post-apocalyptic fantasy if like demons took over the world. So that one counts. And I played a few other smaller games, but none that I got into enough to like actually rate them.
Did we Did you play the Mad Max game or no? Did we ever talk about that?
Yeah, I did play the Mad Max game. I never finished it, but I really need to go back and put some time in. It just, I feel like even though the game was really fun, I want to say, it wasn't fully polished when I played it. I think there had been a couple of updates that I missed that may have made it a little bit easier. But I need to go back and just play it just for the story, because so much of that came into play for Furiosa and leads into Fury Road, of course.
Yeah, that Mad Max game, it's a good one if you don't want to, I don't know, it's just punch, kick, shoot.
Yeah, it was a lot of that. It was a lot of driving around with weird mechanics.
Ammo or looking for ingredients, just punch, kick, shoot, drive.
Yeah. There, and I mean, it was fairly open world, but it definitely let you know where you're supposed to go to next. But yeah, I found it just a touch wonky when I was playing it. But I've talked to enough people that are like, no, give it a second shot. So at some point when I get my my Xbox back, I'll dive back into it. And some free time, like actual free time, because I haven't had that in a minute.
Oh yeah. I got my PlayStation Wrapped, and it was like, wow, you played over 100 hours of video games, and I was like, yeah,
oh my gosh,
I probably played 99 actually.
Yeah, wow.
It was brief. It was few and far between. Us creatives don't have a lot of time to have a controller in our hands.
I know, it's just so tough.
You shouldn't play Twisted Metal while driving. Don't do that.
Definitely not. Oh yeah, that came out this year.
Something did,
right?
Didn't it? Yeah.
Right? Twisted Metal something. Yeah, there's a lot of projects we missed, and if we missed one of your favorites, really sorry, but
please write to makeshiftmikedarling@gmail.com.
If you want to complain directly to me, it's the APOC Post, TheAPOCPOST @gmail.com, or you can leave a comment under this episode. Marky, is that it for 2024? You got anything else for us?
I think that's it. I know you said your biggest video was 2018. What new did you do new stuff at Wasteland that you put on your YouTube? I did
oh yeah.
Did I do I did a 10-minute Sights and Sounds with
that's right, you
Guns
did.
N' Roses November Rain. And actually, if you watch it and you think about it, you're actually watching the footage backwards, and it ends on Wednesday night.
Oh, that's hilarious!
With the fire. Yeah, so
nice.
That I thought was a fun little Easter egg that I did in iMovie, shot on my phone probably because I shoot on my phone. And yeah, but what did you shoot? Did you do hours in the city?
I did. There's a 2 hours in Wasteland, 2 hours on Main Street, Wasteland Weekend 2024. And there's also the Wasteland Weekend 2024 drone reel, which I titled That Orange Colored Sky. Both of those are on my YouTube.
Don't say drone right now. Don't say drone.
I know. I was one of them. I've been one of them the whole time.
Don't say drone right now.
Oh, shoot. Trying to watch people figure out what's going on with the drones has been hilarious because,
don't say drone. They were live from the Pentagon today. Okay, don't talk about the news. Okay.
No, so many of these drone videos have just been airplanes, and they're obvious airplanes. And then there was one where, some government agency was analyzing the footage, and they're like, that's Orion, like the stars. I'm just like, yeah, that's kind of what a lot of them look like to me. And as a drone operator myself, I'm just like, yeah, people have drones. Like, they're allowed to fly their drones. Like, it's just how our skies look now. That's just part of living near a city or living anywhere. I understand that, some of them are being a little suspicious, but a bunch of people with their cell phones in their backyard with their cell phones on super wide lens are not going to be solving any mysteries this year. That's my 2024.
That was the guy from the Pentagon today said, like, people have hobbies,
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I think he said, he gave a crazy number of how many drones are registered. Did he say 85 million?
Oh, probably. That's probably about right.
I think he said 85 million drones are registered in the United States. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it is. And, as a drone operator, you know that there's certain airspaces you can fly in and certain you can't. So if you're like just outside of a city or just outside of an airport or whatever it happens to be, people want to go shoot like skylines at night because they're allowed to. And it makes for good footage. And once you start looking up, you'll start to see all sorts of stuff in the sky. I literally saw one that someone said was a drone and it was a helicopter. I was like, that's a helicopter. There's no mistaking it.
Gee, Mike, what do you shoot with your drone that you might want to tell us about?
What? You mean
Wasteland City map.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. I almost forgot to mention that. The map is done. The Wasteland 2024 Bird's Eye View event map is done. It is shipping. I have them here with me. I got them sent here. They arrived just a few days ago. I've got the packing materials. If you ordered on Patreon, I sent out a questionnaire asking you for your address so I can ship them. And all the digital full-size maps went out just a few days ago to your email. So if you order one of those, you can get it there. If you forgot to order, I had to turn the Kickstarter off. So you can't order there anymore. I don't have a way to order yet, but send me an email. You remember it, theapocpost@gmail.com, and I will figure it out for you. But yeah, the map is done. It's going to be shipping. A lot of you should get it. I don't think it'll be there for Christmas, but it'll be there hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Because I'm going to be doing a packaging of them this week. So just depending on how USPS is doing, or they may be UPS. I don't know. It's going to be one or the other. They will be shipping soon. If you ordered a laminated or a framed version, those will be a few weeks still. I found a laminator here in Knoxville because that's what I'm really close to. So we're going to get them laminated over there. And of course, the frames are just a little bit slower because I have to order those and package them and ship them back out. So yeah, the map's done and it looks amazing.
Folks, if you supported on Patreon, go give Mike your current address or else he can't ship them. And if it's wrong, he's going to send them somewhere else. Take it from a person who ships things.
It's true.
And gets them sent back.
Yeah. By the time you guys hear this,
go fill out that survey.
Yeah. And it's through Kickstarter. So you should get an email from Kickstarter.
Yeah,
they're going to send 3 of them and then they're going to, and then they're going to stop sending you emails. So you have to reply to one of them. And if you didn't get an email, just send me an email and we'll figure it out. Okay.
It was so much fun I loved scrolling around the JPEG. When you sent the JPEG the other day, I was like, zoom in and I was swiping and sliding and I was like, oh man.
Yeah. There's a lot to see. And I'm also still going to, I still owe a live tour to some of the Kickstarter supporters. And I think one of the Kickstarter supporters is going to come on for an episode. So look for that coming up really soon. Anything else, Marky?
That is all. Do you want to talk about 2025 or no?
No, let's save it. We've already gone for quite a while. So let's save it. We'll do a new episode in 2025 and we'll talk about all the things that are coming. That sound good?
Okay. Thanks and you can be tied for survivors. Biggest Gesticles. This has been the Apocalypse Post podcast with special guest Marky Makeup, the cosmetic mechanic. Like, comment, subscribe. Buy some Raider jerky. Join the Patch of the Month Club. Support some other way on Patreon. Join that thing too. Like and follow the Cosmetic Mechanic on Instagram. You have to stop me. I can do this all day.
I'm just waiting for you to plug your Etsy store.
Happy New Year's. Oh, the Etsy store is The Cosmech. TheCosmech. The Cosmech. And we got lots of pins there. We got patches. We got nose noodles. We have this patch. Look, folks, if I see your name and I recognize your name or you leave me a note, I'll probably throw one of these in there for you because I'm nice. Happy holidays. And there is an Amazon. And maybe next year things will start to go on Prime shipping. So we will see if Bezos can convince me to hand over my product so that I can be shipped on Prime. It is quite the negotiation for one individual person versus the mega corporation of Amazon. But it's always fun. Folks, I love getting orders. We have lots of funny things. A couple new designs coming in January. And that's it. I'm very excited. I'm excited to see you all. Happy New Year.
All right. That was Marky Makeup, your cosmetic mechanic, everybody. Thanks so much for coming on, Marky.
Whoop, whoop. Thank you for having me. I'm basically a Muppet. Okay, we did great. It's our 3rd anniversary. Here we go.
As always, thank you so much for listening and your support, especially on Patreon. If you want to help support the show, jump on patreon.com/theapocalypsepost. You can join up for as little as $1. If you want the patch of the month, sign up at a $10 tier or higher. And of course, any support you're willing to give is always appreciated. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend. But if you hated it, share it with an enemy, along with a green samurai sword wielding babe who's up to no good. All right, survivors, that's it for now. We'll see you next time. Stay alive.
And days and days and days and days and days and